Well, guess it's time for a part 2 then. But now I am back to not complete this tier list because there's so many musicals and every musical has a set as long as it's staged on a stage, so I could do this forever. So if after this you really want a part 3, just shout it at me in the comments and apparently I'll do it. But yes, let's continue the set design tier list. I'm very tired. Let's go. But you're new to this channel, hi, Dan, talk about theatre. Sometimes I'm very tired, but always talking about theatre, even when I'm asleep. I do it in my sleep. So if you want to see that, subscribe. Do it now. And remember that all of these opinions today are just that, opinions, and you can completely disagree. And honestly, I urge you to share your opinions in the comments down below, because that's what makes it so great. Why do we have to all think the same and have the same opinions? We can all have different opinions, and that's what makes it so great, because we're all different, and we all have different opinions, so yeah. Honestly, if you want to take this entire tier list and make your own in the comments down below, I would be all here for it. On to the video. Let's start with the set design for both the US and the controversial UK versions of Falsettos, the musical. So in 2016, we got Falsettos, at the Walter Keir, and the set was very, very simple. And you know me, I love set design, and I love a simple set design as long as it fits the show. And I think this really did fit the show. The background was good enough, it was like New York, it told you exactly where you were, and then everything else was made out of these building blocks that started as like a massive square in the middle of the stage, and then they eventually pull them out one by one, create the set around it. It was very intricate, but also so simple, and it gave like really interesting structures like this one right here, and it's a really good set design. I'm going to put Falsettos US in an A tier. Is that a bit too high? I don't know. I'll see if I change my mind. Falsettos UK is an interesting one, and what we got was this quite interesting set design that was based around like photo frames. Is it as good as the US one? I don't think so, but I still like this set design. I think it really does come to life with all the photos. It does look a little bit like a toury, like for a touring musical, but it did kind of work in a small place like the Other Palace. I don't think it would have worked in like a much bigger theatre. I'd probably put it in about C tier. I think C tier is fair for that one. Now, Be More Chill is another one that's had a run in the US and in the UK, but the sets were very similar, except one difference. I can say which one was better, and I can say that both of them I'm not a massive fan of. The US one had like massive scale, but it feels kind of wrong, especially because a lot of the show, they didn't properly use the projection. Like you can see in this photo here that the back wall is kind of bare when they actually project onto like the weird arches that they had. For a show that's all about being so digital and like technology taking over, I feel like it should have a little bit more. Now they did adapt this when they went to the UK, but then again I was still feeling like it should be a little bit more. A lot of the projection was just photos of things. Like when they were in the mall, you would expect like the mall to be created in this kind of digital fashion, but it was just a photo of Panda Express. It felt really bare. Does it work for the show, however? And I would say yes, it does work for the show, but it's my little mind that's going, this could still, this just needs one step further. You're so close. You're almost at the finish line, and then you're not quite getting there. That's my thing. That's my thing with Be More Chill entirely. Do my problems with it justify an E? I don't think so. I'm going to put it in D. The set design for Anastasia with these like big arches and a big projection screen at the back, which, you know, I feel like if you're incorporating projection into your set design, it shouldn't be, you know, the only thing. And I think this passes on that. And also, looking at these photos, there's a lot of differences between it. There's a lot of changing and a lot of moulding. And I've got to say, the proscenium arch looks beautiful with all those curls and the golden arches. It does look really, really nice. I feel like this is another C tier. I've got to say, I don't know if I've mentioned this, my favourite type of set design is one that can be used for the entire show. I'm not a big fan of like the classic way of bringing on a set piece and then bringing off a set piece and bringing on a set piece and bringing off a set piece. I feel like that works, but I like the ingenuity of having it static. Something like Beetlejuice gets the best of both worlds because the main place in that show is the house. And it switches now and then, of course, into different bedrooms and the attic, but it's still that kind of static one location. And you can point to that one location and say, yep, that is the main location of Beetlejuice. A show that does this really well, I think, and only has one point in the show where the location changes, and that's towards the end, is Kinky Boots. I love the Kinky Boots set. I think it so perfectly replicates this kind of factory, and it gets it to like a T. It's so good. I love the windows. I love like the different angles, and you know, the big like tower at the back that they push around and use as like different parts, and they even use it for Lola's entrance in a drag bar, and it's very good. I like it. I like the set. I really like the set. I have a soft spot for this set, and it goes straight into Beat It. Do you know another show that has a really good set? And honestly, the lighting in these photos just helps it so much to secure like a higher tier. And that's And Juliet. Now, you can say a lot about And Juliet. I'm not always the biggest fan of a jukebox musical. But I think what a jukebox musical can do is it can give you massive scale. And that is exactly what And Juliet does in its set design. Look at just the ball and like the massive LED wall at the back and all the different lighting. It still reminds you of like Shakespeare with little elements in the set, but then also blends it really well into like the modern stylings and like the big lavish sets and everything that makes theatre so theatrical. And that's why I feel like And Juliet will go very high A tier. Let's continue this and go on to Six the Musical. Now, I think even though they are basically the same set, I think there is a difference to when you're talking about the set at the Arts Theatre, or if you're talking about the Broadway / Live at the Lyric set. They stepped it up. They stepped it up. Because the lighting and okay, I know lighting design is different, but I think lighting can enhance the set, and I will include it in my set design tier list. It's all the little details. I remember just going to see it at the Lyric, and I was just fascinated by the set and how it was constantly changing and evolving, and the lighting was just slightly adjust, and like the LEDs were slightly adjust, and they just thought about how to like upscale it and upscale it and upscale it, not even just going from the Arts to the Lyric, but also going from the start of the show to the end of the show. It was constantly evolving, having different lighting designs for different characters and different colours that the LEDs would go. Is it the perfect set design? Is it the most intricate, amazing, the spotless set design that you ever see? No, of course not. But for this show, it works really well because it invokes those concert vibes, especially in a big theatre when everything is upgraded. And when they start doing Six, the closing song, and that big thing comes out, the big thing that I'm not going to say because it changes a lot, and you're like, strong B, I feel. You know, we've had a lot of modern musicals. I feel like we need to talk about Les Mis, because the classic Les Mis set with the barricades and the revolve is so clever. I love this set so much. There is nothing more thrilling when you see Les Mis and you hear the bomb, bum, ba bum, as the barricades slowly come out from the sides and they're up and they slowly like come down and form the barricades, and like all the people come running up in it. It is amazing. It is just theatre at a height, and you're just sitting there just like. But I think classic Les Mis goes into A tier. The set design for theme I want to talk about is this one. This version was made for the UK tour of Fame for like the 20th anniversary of the show, which kept on getting extended, got like 50 million runs in London, and everything got filmed. So if you want to watch it, the recording's out there. But what's interesting about this one is that instead of like going and invoking like a school vibe or like a college vibe, they decided instead to go with headshots in the background, which actually did kind of work. Does it give you any sense of the location? No. But for the most part, for a show that has to like take apart the entire set and move around the country, it does work. It does tell you who these characters are, and you know, invokes that kind of vibe of, you know, the industry and headshots, and it's all being focusing on just looking at someone and putting it down and wanting your name in lights. If it works for a show, it works, doesn't it? I think it's another C tier. I think it's another C tier. Bell rings, door chimes, in comes company. And let's specifically talk about the 2018 UK version and the 2020 Broadway version. Now, this was the brainchild of Marianne Elliott, who also directed Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime and had the same set designer for both Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime and Company. So, expect a lot of neon lights. For the most part, I think the set design works. I think the boxes coming on and off was a little bit, you know, slow and clunky, and sometimes took a little bit too long. But then again, I feel like just the scale of it kind of worked. You know, it was very basic and white, but the neon colours made it glow out. And having the contrast between the white background and the red dress of previously Robert, now Bobby, really did work. And like the different kind of like, as the set designer described it as, Alice in Wonderland style of it, with like the massive numbers and the doors and constantly going between places, and it felt very much within Bobby's mind, which does work for what Sondheim was going for. And honestly, I think just the neon company at the back is quite iconic as well. And if you ever want just a bunch of fun, the opening number of Act 2 in this version with the massive 35 was just so funny and energetic and everything, and it really, really worked with all the white tables and the neon lights in the background. It's not perfect, but I think it's really hard to portray this kind of dreamlike fashion in theatre and also make the set feel kind of grounded, so I can forgive it for being a little bit here, there and everywhere. And for the most part, it works for the show. I feel like it's good enough for a B. Let's give it a B. So with all of that, let's see where the tier list stands now. It's a bit bigger. Yeah, we made it bigger. We did a thing. We made it bigger. There is a ton more shows that I could look at and analyse here, so if you want to see that, just shout part 2 in the comments, because apparently I listened to that. And if you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribing. I talk about theatre a lot, so that's something you enjoy. You'll enjoy hearing me talk about it. But if you excuse me, now I've got to go plan the next Who's the Best video, I guess. Every Evan Hansen's not going to analyse themselves. Bye!